Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another Link to the Past Randomizer 2021 tournament race. We are currently about to start a matchup between P-Train and EmoSaru. This is the winner's side of the bracket for Group AC. EmoSaru has a one-game lead over P-Train. P-Train trying to force a Game 3 of this series. I am Slim Kirby, one of your commentators for this match, joined by Dane8373. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well, and I'm excited for this matchup. The last matchup between these two was very close. They both were one item away from go mode, different items, and it was kind of a race to see who got that one first, and they got it pretty close together. So it was still a close race all the way through the end. It was a really exciting race. So I'm expecting another great one today. So we'll be getting started very shortly on this one.
Yeah, I am right there with you. Looking forward to see how this one will progress. Both of these runners went 2-0 during their first series for this group. In addition to that, both of them have really solid times on the No Major Glitches leaderboard right now. P-Train a 127 runner, EmoSaru a 128, so both of them honestly pretty close in execution level, and they've done well to get to this point in the tournament as well, so this should be a very heated and awesome match here.
So, as I'm sure everyone is aware, this is going to be a hard standard match, the normal tournament settings. So the standard part means we're going to go through the normal escape system. Our uncle will give us an item, and we'll have to go through escape with that. And hard mode just basically means we're not going to get some of the items we would normally be able to get, like silvers or the gold sword, and we'll be capped at 14 hearts and no armor upgrades.
Yeah, and, I was kind of talking about kind of the No Major Glitches experience as well. Those are basically some of the conditions you'll have to deal with in that speedrun setting, so both runners should be very familiar with that. As we are getting started here, I'm going to see the first chest here in Link's house. Just 20 rupees. It's a good start for that CAC money that we might need, but we'll have to see if we get the rest of it inside the escape here.
Yeah, so what item you think Uncle is going to give us today? I'm rooting for a sword. I want to see these two accomplished NMG runners just do their thing, go through the sword escape.
Normally I would say Kana Samaria, but I actually do like the way you're thinking. That would actually be pretty cool to see, but we're going to find out what item we're going to get. We're going to be getting the bow. Okay, that'll still be a very quick run through here. Bow, very good at getting kills from a distance, and you have quite a bit of ammo as well, as we do have bomb drops already, so not gonna have to worry about farming bombs in escape whatsoever.
Yeah, so seeing that bow start and the bombs in the guard drop pool, very nice. Like you mentioned, bow is it's a very good weapon for escape. It's nice and quick. It's easy to farm the guards, and it also gives you access to an early Eastern Palace play should you decide to make that. So it's just an all-around nice thing to get.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if either of our runners will make that play, because it's honestly not a bad choice. We don't know the pendant crystal layout for Eastern Palace just yet, but still, it is a dungeon. There'll be basically 6 items in that Eastern Palace area. Could even be a 7th if we're looking at a green pendant Eastern, but we'll have to see.
Just another 20 bucks in that first chest, so no other help so far other than that bow we've gotten. We're seeing both these runners, like you mentioned earlier, they're good NMG runners. They know how to navigate through escape really quickly, and they're both right on each other's heels, getting through here really quickly.
Yeah, really the only difference we're seeing here, maybe a little bit of different RNG from certain guards. One might need to veer off in a slightly different direction to avoid the hit. Like, that's literally the only differences we're seeing here, is even still, they're just entering the same doorways at exactly the same time.
Yeah, that's a real sync right there.
And another reason I like the bow start here is you don't really need to worry about getting the pots up there. Emo is still going to grab one, though. That will take basically half the health, so yeah, that's still not too bad, but still, P-Train getting that map, so we have the small key. So the rest of the items we are going to find in the escape, and the sanctuary for that matter, are going to be actual items. So, like you said, we haven't found anything of major note yet, aside from that bow that we have that could easily lead them into their next destination, depending if they want to make that play.
Yeah, but at least they'll have a lot of bombs and a lot of money for Kakariko. Won't have to worry about
Oh yeah.
having to get either of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they manage to locate another 300, that's pretty much going to be all of Kakariko and, you know, Zora taken care of as well, so wouldn't be too bad to find that at some point.
Yeah, so I've actually been seeing a lot of our runners in this tournament elect to not do Kakariko early. With what they've gotten from this escape, I don't see any reason why the runners would delay Kakariko early, but you never know.
Yeah, at the core of it, like, there's definitely value to both starts. Kakariko start is generally, like, more common, like, before this tournament and just in general, just because of the sheer volume of items you'll find in that direction. But, you know, with the kind of the Eastern start, you do get potentially a dungeon taken care of right off the bat. And, you know, because there is less volume, if you happen to find something there and your opponent goes the other direction, that could potentially give you a slight advantage. Maybe find those Dark World items before you actually get to Kakariko. So after you're done with Kakariko, hey, I can just go to Dark World while I'm over there.
Yeah, I think the key point or the main advantage to doing Kakariko late is sometimes you'll get some items like you were mentioning, like you get Dark World access that can help you to have like a little bit more convenient route after Kakariko or even in Kakariko itself. Like say you get a bottle doing Eastern Palace or get the flute, or even if you get something like the glove and you just have an easier way to sequence break up to the mountain.
Yeah, definitely.
See, in Key Racket, both of these runners a little bit of trouble hiding out in that corner.
Gives Emo a little less trouble as, well, they're pretty much in sync again, so... Man, this is pretty exciting here as we get the red boomerang, a heart container, and a heart piece. Nothing that'll progress the seed in any one fashion, but boomerang nice for stunning enemies, maybe checking that stun prize. Obviously, you mentioned before, we're going to be kind of capped on health at a certain point, so getting health early and along the way is always nice as well.
And we see EmoSaru and P-Train both getting out here in the low 550s, and with tacking the back of escape, that's a solid time right there.
Yeah, you always kind of hear about that, you know, you want to try to aim for a sub 6-minute escape, and that's pretty much what both of them got right there, so very nicely done. Bow escape is definitely one of the faster escapes weapons you can get, but still. Looks like we have a green pendant and Tower of Hera, and the other two are crystals, so... You know, if they did go Eastern Palace, they would have been able to get that crystal clear pretty immediately. But at this point, they have a chance to find the Mirror and Hammer and potentially do a pod Eastern clear at the same time. So there's still kind of value in kind of maybe holding out on Eastern for a little bit.
Absolutely. And we're going to see a little bit of divergence. I guess EmoSaru is not going over to Lumberjack. Just wanted to go up here for the tree poles and bush crab. But we see our tier 2 tree pole is 8 bombs. So as if they didn't already have enough bombs, get a nice little extra bit. And our bush crab is 20 rupees, so we're also going to get a good amount of money this seed. Easily we'll be able to get Zora money just walking to that bush crab on South Zora.
Yeah, and from a look of it, it looks like P-Train opted to skip that 50 that was laying on the ground here. Maybe thought that because of the poles we're getting here, may not need to grab that. Emo does pick it up a little closer to eventually having that Zora money, but she does skip that 20 that's right there, though. But we still got plenty of rupees in Kakariko to get as well.
Yeah, and so EmoSaru having seen that 20 from the bush crab, she knows if when you're going to the south route and you want to start thinking about fake flip bring over to Zora, you can just get 100 rupees from that bush crab and you'll be good.
Mm-hmm. And to answer a question in chat, the sprite that EmoSaru is using is actually the EmoSaru sprite. She's actually using one that was custom made for her, so... That's pretty cool.
All right, we got a potion and a flute in Blind's Hut, so 2 nice items to get in Kakariko. We'll get to activate that flute right away and get to go to Sick Kid right away. I personally really like to see when the runners get the flute early because it just opens up so many more possibilities with your early game because you can just jet around the map.
Yeah, especially since, we haven't found boots yet. You don't really want to be walking everywhere, and then, having the flute will kind of prevent you from needing, like, as many saving quits as well, so it definitely is a useful tool to get in kind of the Sphere 1 part of the game that we're currently getting through.
Get another bottle with a potion in it, so these runners should be pretty good on safeties for most of this run with that red and that blue already, and just some bombs in the back of a well.
Yeah, it is looking pretty nice on money so far, that's for sure. As we do find the hammer also in the well, also get some heart pieces. Looks like we're up to 5 hearts now.
Yeah, you definitely like to get that hammer early, maybe get Dark World access relatively soon. Also seeing a first sword over there on the bottle vendor. Another thing just makes getting through the world with a sword is so much easier than without one.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Well, if you enjoyed that flute playing from P-Train, we're going to get another flute playing from Emo right here. Back-to-back flute activations.
Yeah, pretty much the runners have just been on their heels each other's heels the whole race. But with this flute, we could see them make a variety of different choices. Eastern's a pretty appealing play with the 6 items in the crystal. The sword makes the dark rooms really nice and quick. So easy play, but also you still got South Shore you could go to. Some runners, when they get the flute early, will go over to Agina, kind of as like a defensive play, just in case your opponent did it and got like a glove or something. So plenty of options for our runners once they're done clearing out Kakariko.
Looks like from the Sick Kid, we're going to be getting a second sword. Ooh, that's nice.
It will be nice to be able to deal with dungeons with the Master Sword, especially light world dungeons. Master Sword one-shots most of the enemies and makes the bosses quicker. We also see Ether Medallion over there on P-Train's side, so good to get one of those out of the way.
But yeah, you are correct. We definitely do have a lot of options on the table here, and it's kind of the case that since we have the flute, it's pretty likely we're going to be seeing like both runners get to all of those specific places because we're still looking for like the Dark World items to get into Dark World. We only have one of those potential 3, so we'll still probably see. It's just like the order that they visit those locations could also determine a lot as well. Like again, maybe 2 of the Dark World items are on the Eastern route, but not the South Shore route. And it's going to be interesting to see how both the choices will play out here.
Yep, and we see the book over there on the race game, which will give us entry to Desert Palace. We won't be able to clear it because we don't have a glove or a fire source, but another crystal that can get on the mind of these runners. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of different choices they can make, and it's kind of what items you get in the other places, like you're mentioning, is really what could affect it. Because like Eastern is a really attractive play right now with 6 items and a crystal, but you might want to put that off for a little bit because if you get Dark World access and the mirror, you can combo that in with Pod, which may or may not be a crystal even, but you always like to think about that.
Yeah, that's what's amazing about these races. It's just that there's a lot of things you have to kind of think of, and it's not like one play is necessarily wrong because you just don't know where items are going to end up being. So
yeah, you can follow the percentages and make as good of a play as it looks, but randos that sometimes will do rando things, and the 1% play was the one that you needed to make.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It does look like both of our runners are going to be following their footsteps for pretty much the same as they were before, as we are checking the South Shore now. Didn't get really much from the dam. Going to be checking Mini Moldorm Cave next. Got 5 more items to find in here.
Yeah, and these runners could think about fake flippering, but probably not unless they get the boots or the moon pearl, just because they have to leave behind some items. And there they get the moon pearl and 100 rupees, so that's making fake flippering look a lot better now. And the hook shot. So they got a lot more options and another bottle.
Yeah, that hook shot will open up the east side of Death Mountain, and will actually open up the Tower of Paris since we have Hammer as well. So That could be another thing. P-Train is actually opting to... No, he's going to stay here on the land here and check out Ice Rod Cave first.
Yeah, so I don't know if P-Train will want to do a fake flipper. It's kind of a... maybe not even the greatest play right now anyway, because they've got so many other things to check, but he's not going to have enough money for Zora and can't even farm that rock there. And we're seeing EmoSaru decide to go up to the mountain following that high check density.
Mm-hmm.
And just a heart container over an Ice Rod Cave. But the flute just makes, like, you can skip Ice Rod Cave like that really freely with the flute because it doesn't get any slower to go over there. You kind of just always are going to have to walk about the same amount. If you get the boots, it'll be a little faster, sure. But you can just skip it pretty freely. And if you ever get worried, oh, did I miss something there? You can just go right back.
Yeah, exactly. Next P-Train going to check the island here on Lake Hylia, just a heart piece. And EmoSaru only gets a red rupee from the old man. Looks like P-Train is going to be opting to head to Eastern Palace. You know, we got the bow from the uncle, and we can completely clear that dungeon and get the 3 chests here in Sahasrarla's house. So this is going to be a pretty solid play from him. I'm really interested to see what EmoSaru is going to find on the mountain, though.
Yeah, so one thing that I can see right now that could play big into this race from this divergence is Tower of Hera. We will have access to it. We do not have a fire source. So we have the hook shot. We can still clear the dungeon if we need to. It's a pendant. We don't necessarily have to, but you might leave behind an item if you don't have that fire source. And we see the Tempered Sword already over there on P-Train's side. So these runners are set offensively for this seed.
Mm-hmm. And if we do happen to clear the Tower of Hera, if we are able to clear it anyway, EmoSaru will have that green pendant to potentially turn into Sahasrarla while she's down here. So, you know, maybe that's kind of what she's thinking. Maybe, well, I can potentially get this and, you know, have that free turn-in.
Yeah, because the main thing right now is when your access to Tower of Hera is through hookshotting to the right and walking over there with the hammer, it's kind of an annoying check. So you want to be able to get it done when you're up here already. And yeah, like you're mentioning, there's definitely 2 sides to the play. There's the one hand, okay, we might leave an item behind if we don't have a fire source for Hera. But on the other hand, you might delay turning in that green pendant or have to go out of your way a bit if you decide you want to clear it and then turn it in on your way to Eastern.
Mm-hmm. EmoSaru does not get the bomb jump on her first attempt. Does get it that time, though. Does save... Even if you do take a drop there, it does still save time over going out and around and back up again, so is able to kind of cut a little bit of time out and going out here.
Just $20 up on the floating island. Still haven't seen any items in Eastern yet.
And looks like EmoSaru is going to be checking Spiral Cave first before heading to Hera.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she's going to head to Hera after this, because it's kind of it's a long walk either way now, because you have to climb back up through Paradox Cave. Or you could just flute away and wait till you get a fire source with a mirror. And it's a pendant, you don't necessarily have to do it.
Right. And she is pulling out the flute, so it looks like she is going to be mirroring away, as she does find the cape here in Spiral Cave.
Yeah, because they're kind of one thing to kind of think through is, okay, we're getting kind of close in terms of how many locations we can see to getting to that Aghanim seed. And we know if we get an Aghanim seed, we'll get the lamp. So there's kind of 2 scenarios where, like, you're either going to get a fire source and be able to do Tower of Hera, but also be able to do Aga, or you won't. And then if this is not an Aga seed, an early Tower of Hera might not be optimal.
Right.
So, like, for P-Train's route, if he ends up being 1 item away, like he's still 1 item away from Dark World. If he comes up here with 1 item away still, he may be tempted to go into Tower of Hera trying to get the 2 or 3 items to avoid Aghanim.
Ooh, well, okay, first of all, we did see Half Magic here on top of Spectacle Rock, but inside Spectacle Rock, we do find the first of our glove upgrades. So this will actually give EmoSaru Dark World access.
Yeah, it's very nice, because now you feel pretty good for not doing Tower of Hera, because it's a pendant, you don't have to beat it, and it's kind of annoying to get to, and you're not going to have to go in there trying to Hail Mary, get the last 3 items to not have to do Aghanim.
Yeah, so definitely a very good find for her.
So probably going to see a Hype Cave play over here from EmoSaru. And then I bet the map check will really kind of dictate where you go next from there, looking at your Dark World dungeons.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. That's definitely a very valid point there.
And P-Train's getting through that dark room relatively unscathed. And we're seeing a map check. We've got reds on Skullwoods and Pod, and our other pendants are Thieves Town and Swamp Palace.
Okay. It always seems to be a lot of pendant Thieves Town in these races I've been noticing.
Yeah, it's not a dungeon you'd really like to be a pendant, because it's like, okay, how deep did my opponent go into this dungeon? You always want it to be a crystal. It's nice and easy to clear.
Yeah, I know, right?
Seeing the Ice Rod over there on EmoSaru's side, which is good. Last seed, the Ice Rod was her go mode. Also seeing the Bombos, so not gonna have to worry about any Ice Rod hunts today.
Yeah, really nice to find that.
And P-Train over here setting up the Armos quick kill, gets it really nicely, gets a green 20, which that could even be a sword or a bow or armor upgrade. So there's a lot of options for what that was.
Yeah, if that did so happen to be our last sword, it's kind of interesting how like all 4 swords were actually pretty relatively early in the light world.
And it looks like EmoSaru is walking over to Palace of Darkness.
So yeah, if you're EmoSaru, definitely the item you do want to find while you're over here is like you want to find the mirror in Pod, because if you get that, you can just very quickly like not only navigate through the dungeon a lot quicker, but also as soon as you're done, just mirror and then take care of Eastern while you're here.
Absolutely. So now we'll get to see on P-Train's side if he decides he wants to do Tower of Hera. I guess it really depends if he decides to go up, climb up the mountain first, and then jump down. Because I think if he gets his gloves, he's probably not going to do Tower of Hera. But if he's already up there and still looking for that glove, I think he might be tempted to.
Yeah, that is true. As it is being stated in chat, probably the biggest challenge of doing Palace of Darkness this early on these settings with this equipment is more than likely going to be the final dark rooms heading to Helmasaur King. In one of those rooms, we'll have 6 Terrapin enemies to deal with, and those enemies can be pretty obnoxious in the dark. So, got to be kind of careful in that room. But aside from that, the other dark rooms aren't too bad, and we have everything we need to clear this dungeon. So, honestly, not a bad play. We get 5 items in here. It'll also give us one of our red crystals too. So, definitely a nice play for Emo, regardless of not she finds the mirror or not.
Yeah, one nice thing that you can use to make the Dark World a little bit easier that EmoSaru has is Ether Medallion. Because if you flip over the turtles, you can kill them with Ether Medallion. It just straight up KOs them. So if you're experienced with the NMG setup, you know the muscle memory to flip over the 4 with the hammer hit, and then you can just get rid of them with Ether Medallion, and now you're playing 2 versus 1 instead of 6 versus 1. So it's a nice little option that she has available.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I actually admittedly kind of forgot about that. But yeah, NMG strats I think will definitely help them, potentially both of them out in this case.
Yeah, the other medallions, I'm not sure if Bombos kills the turtles. Quake will stun them if they're flipped over. But Ether is best, nice and quick, just gets rid of it. We see P-Train getting a little bit trolled by that dead rock over there. So I think EmoSaru is going to have to go back over and do the vanilla big key chest because we've gotten... Well, maybe let's just leave it for later because I think it's not guaranteed to be a key at this point.
Right.
Canis and Maria, very nice find. We're going to need that for Misery Mire and Turtle Rock, and it's very nice for Ice Palace.
Yep, really good find for EmoSaru there.
All right, so just 2 keys down in this fire rod / lamp locked room. And looks like P-Train is going over to Tower of Hera. Did he skip Spike Cave or Spiral Cave?
I believe so. He does not look like he has the cape, so... Oh, and, well, we don't have to worry about dark rooms anymore. EmoSaru did just find the lamp here in Palace of Darkness.
Yeah, very nice. It's very good when you get that. Sometimes you'll find the lamp and pod after already doing EmoSaru, and it's so insulting that you got to do that in the dark, and then the lamp was in here. But it's nice that she got it on this route before the 2 more time-consuming. This one's not too bad to do in the dark, but it's definitely quicker with the light.
Yeah, for sure.
And Tower of Hera is not fire locked today, so we'll see if if there's a fire locked item. Also, we see Quake Medallion over there, so we've gotten all the medallions. The seed will be good to enter Turtle Rock and Misery Mire for EmoSaru at least.
Yeah, and for Misery Mire, we're actually only the mitts away from actually getting access to that. That could be an interesting play to check that. I know it only has 2 items, but you know, when it's available and it's on the table, it can definitely have something.
Yeah, it's definitely because a lot of players will want to put it off because it can be so much faster in go mode if the big key is nice. But on the other hand, if you get a nice item there early, that's a big time save, especially if the big key wasn't in a good spot.
Right, yeah. EmoSaru taking an intentional death right there just to warp back to the beginning. That is the unfortunate aspect of not having the mirror for this dungeon. Is taking a death will be probably the fastest way to get anywhere if you're on one side of the dungeon and trying to get to the other.
And we're on P-Train side. We've seen 1 item over here in Tower of Hera. Nice little rail clip there by P-Train to avoid the fire. And so if we see a key on Moldorm, there's a fire-locked item in Hera. If not, then we get both of our items.
Okay, here we have Moldorm. We have the Tempered Sword. He's going to be no issue whatsoever. Just need to spin and a slice from... Oh! Unfortunately, P-Train does get middle hold right there, so we'll have to climb 2 staircases to get back up there.
Yeah, Moldorm sometimes just doesn't care what sword you have. He's just going to knock you right off at the beginning.
Yeah, he can be quite the bully sometimes. And here I was talking about how easy it was going to be, but nope. I guess Moldorm did not want to hear that.
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter how good you are, what items you have. Sometimes Moldorm just decides that you're going down the middle hole today. And P-Train gets his revenge on Moldorm. We'll see if we're going to have that item in the basement on our minds today. And we do not. Very good. You hate to see that when the runners just have to worry about that the whole run. We got both our items.
Yep, and that's going to give P-Train his first pendant. Other pendants, I mean, we're still a ways from being able to get the one in Swamp Palace, but the Thieves' Town one's on the table, so we're not going to be thinking about Pedestal just yet. Gotta wait till that mirror and flippers show up before that's even consideration.
And while we're kind of talking about items, we should kind of start thinking about what are we going to need for go mode. We definitely need the Fire Rod. We can't beat Skullwood to Turtle Rock without it. We technically need the flippers to beat Ice Palace, but we can skip that if we need. We may need the boots to beat Desert Palace. It really depends on if it's boots locked or not. We're going to need the Titan's Mitts. And what else could we need possibly? I think that's it for as far as required.
I believe so, yeah. And of course, any other items that will at some point open up those items. But again, just in terms of the basic necessities anyway.
Yeah, because like when you have Swamp Palace be a pendant, that mirror is always a big question mark because it locks a very good number of items, like 10 or so with Count Pedestal and the items in Swamp and the mirror check. So it can be required just to get your items.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see them both going this way for completely different reasons.
Yep, EmoSaru going to be heading into Eastern Palace. P-Train going to be handing in his green pendant. that he just won. And I imagine after that, maybe going into Palace of Darkness, I guess, since he'd be in the area. But could just be turning this in just to see if maybe this could give him maybe an early game advantage if it is something. And it's the Fire Rod. Ooh.
Yeah, that's really big because the mirror is kind of key to the seed now because it's going to be so hard to get up the Tower of Hera without the mirror. And on the flip side, the mirror could totally bait you to some other bad locations before getting to Tower of Hera. And we know that Fire Rod is really required. And not only that, it just gives P-Train a really nice choice with his routing because now it makes a lot more sense to go to the Village Valcast area because these runners kind of want to put it off because they need to beat Skull Woods. And if they get the Fire Rod, they can full clear it. But now that P-Train doesn't have to worry. He can clear out this area and also do Skull Woods.
Yeah, that is very correct. And like, assuming we at some point do get the mirror and the flippers, for example, like, that's going to be putting Swamp Palace on the table, and that's a very dense location in terms of items. So, if Emo gets the choice between Tower of Hera or Swamp Palace, like, Swamp Palace is going to have more value in that case. So, gonna have to be careful with how the rest of the seed kind of plays out here.
Yeah, I think if you're rooting for EmoSaru, you want the flippers to be Fire Rod locked because then if she's able to get the mirror and not have the flippers, then that Tower of Hera play is much more appealing because it's got the 3 items plus Ether Tablet, so it's 4 items. It's not a terribly non-dense location. It's just that there's a lot of other better ones right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Get to get our first look at Skull Woods. Just seeing a small key in the vanilla big key chest over on P-Train's side.
And looks like he is going to be going straight for the boss here, which, not a bad thing if you happen to find both of the items back here, which is more than possible. You can actually skip checking the rest of the dungeon.
Yeah, it's really nice when you do it back to front, and you find both the items in the back and don't have to worry about anything in the front.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also just the chance of the big keys in the back, and then you don't have to come back to do the big chest on your way out. It's just really nice to do back to front.
Yeah, it is really nice to kind of route it in that way.
So for P-Train, he's got Tempered Sword, a little bit low health, but should be able to handle Mothula with this loadout.
Yeah, I think he should be fine.
Gonna see 2 boss fights coming close together. P-Train will be finishing Mothula probably about the time EmoSaru gets in, depending on how nice Mothula is today. That was a pretty nice moth.
Yeah, seemed pretty generous. Maybe Mothula felt a little bad that Moldorum gave P-Train a little bit of trouble, so decided to kind of cooperate.
Yeah, I didn't want all insects to have too bad of a name today.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, EmoSaru going in, trying to get the same sort of quick kill that P-Train was able to get. Unfortunately, hits 1 too many arrows on the one on the right, but it's not a very big time loss if you fail it like that. And it was the 4th sword up there.
Okay, wow. So all 4 swords were very, very early in Light World in this scene. That's interesting.
Yeah, P-Train would have had sub 20-minute 4th sword if this was not a hard mode.
Yeah, exactly.
And that looked like just a key over there in the map chest or the bridge chest of Skullwoods.
Mm-hmm.
So Saha's Plaza is going to be a little emptier for EmoSaru because there's a sword back here, but you've already got 3.
Yeah, and that's basically, again, how most of the progressive items that cap out in hard mode will work, is that basically all the swords do get placed first, and it's just once you have your 3rd one, any remaining ones will turn into that 20 rupees. So that's basically how it works. Kind of like the way that progressive items work with like the gloves and shields in previous versions of the randomizer logic. So
And seeing EmoSaru again, kind of putting off the play that P-Train's making, because it's just so much better if you have the fire rod first before you go over to the Village of Outcast areas, because you really don't want to go into Thieves Town. If you can do Skullwoods, then you've got 5 pretty quick items over there, and then can either go to the south side to do like Stumpy and Dig Game, or go north. I guess they can't really do anything up north right now without the mirror or the boots.
Well, we do find the big key here in Desert Palace. I'm going to see if there's an item on the torch really quick before just the map. So, no, we can fully clear Desert Palace without the boots.
Yep, completely not boots locked. You like to see that when you come over here early like this.
Mm-hmm. Kind of unfortunate thing about not having boots is we do have to kind of walk around this dungeon to pick up all of the items.
Yeah, this dungeon was really made to show off the boots, so when you don't have the boots, you're just getting a really long walk.
Yeah. And that is true, because you literally get the boots like right before you come here to Desert Palace, so...
Yeah, you get some really nice straightaways. The developers definitely wanted to teach the new players how to use the boots.
Mm-hmm.
And we see EmoSaru skipping the right side of Desert, which makes a lot of sense because she hasn't done Agina yet, and she knows there's an item over there, so she'll be going over there no matter what. But then you can just quickly jump out of the right side and go over to Agina really quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, just trying to make these checks a little more efficient as you're just combing out one area entirely.
P-Train is over in Thieves Town. We'll see how deep he decides to go. A lot of runners will do the first 4 quickly, but sometimes there's items in Blind's cell or the attic of Pendant Thieves. So we'll see if he decides to go all the way in or just peek it.
Oh, there's those flippers we were kind of talking about, which, you know, that's one of the remaining items we need for Swamp, for that to be in logic, as P-Train does take an intentional death. Looks like he is going to be skipping the back for now. We'll see if I have to come back here later or not.
Yeah, not with those flippers, he can full clear Ice Palace, though he might want to wait till getting the Cave of Samaria. So, but he probably would want to do Pod first anyway. So, seeing those flippers, you're thinking, okay, there's probably not 2 items that are progression in Thieves Town, right?
Right. But for Ice Palace, we do also need to find the mitts as well, so we're not going to quite do that. But it's still, it is something to think about, though, for sure.
So we'll see P-Train looking like he's going to go over to the south area Village of Outcast with the Digging Game and Stumpy. He's already done Hype Cave, so probably will cap out after that. Though he could walk to Pod, but probably not faster than just saving and quitting and fluting.
Yeah. Okay, gonna check the right side of Desert. There's the second item, so we are out of here. But like you said before, we do need to check out Agina's cave and see what item awaits us at the very end of that hallway.
Yeah, this will be our first check from either runner for Agina's cave. Could be the Titan's Mist, that's be a big one that could be there, but otherwise, or the Mirror, I guess. Otherwise, we know where most of the other things that could give us real progression are.
Yeah, you highlighted this very early in the seed when we got the flute, but Agina's Cave, it's one of those Sphere 1 locations. It's kind of one that you do kind of want to put off until you have like some kind of item loadout to maybe take care of Desert around the same time. So it's often the location you'll see kind of skipped until like a last location, or again until you get like a better loadout for Desert. So just a heart container in this seed, so P-Train's not going to be missing anything by not going there yet, so that's good for him.
And it was also good to see EmoSaru was able to combo that in with a save and quit, which you always like to do with Agina.
Yeah, I don't want to have to go through those 2 transitions.
And EmoSaru is going to go over and clear out Ice Rod Cave, which she did not do early. I don't know if she'd want a fake flipper here, but it's an option if she so decides.
Okay, so P-Train grabs his Ice Rod in here. And his Bombos.
So really the mitts are gating us from a lot of dungeons right now, at least from P-Train's perspective. Because if he gets the mitts, well, I guess he needs to get that Cane of Samaria out of pot. But if he gets the mitts, then he can do Ice Palace and Misery Mire and Turtle Rock once he finishes pod.
Yeah, and wasn't the Quake Medallion also in Palace of Darkness as well?
Yep.
So yeah, really, like, I mean, there's still a couple of unknowns we have still at this point, but at this point, like, it's the big item that P-Train is looking for, the item we want to know of is gonna be that mitts. I think that we could potentially have everything we need to finish the seed at that point.
And you really like when you have mid-skill mode, because that means that your go mode item is not in Misery Mire, it's not in Ice Palace, and it's not in Turtle Rock, and it's also not on Dark Death Mountain. So it's just there's a lot of locations where your go mode can't be.
Right, yeah, so this is going to be a pretty quick seed. Assuming that works out in that fashion, there is still also the big unknown of the big key in Ganon's Tower. There could be that 1 in 22 chance that it is on that torch and we don't find the boots, so that's something they're going to want to look out for as well.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if EmoSaru is able to get the mirror from these flipper checks. That might draw her up to Hera, though it takes the unfortunate death on the fake flipper. If you get hit while fake flippering, normally you get in like a soft lock state in the vanilla game, but the randomizer dev just made it so you just die.
Yeah. We'll see if she's going to try that again really quick or just kind of move on. Okay, she's going to give it another shot. Which makes sense. I mean, there's 2 items in the waterfall cave, and you also have the Zora item, and you get the intel on what's on the ledge as well. So it's still 4 potential item knowns that we get from that.
Yeah, and her other really good check that she's got left is the West Dark World with Village of Outcasts, Skull Woods area. And you just would really like to get either the mitts or the fire rod before doing it. So this makes a lot of sense just from a convenience perspective.
And we're kind of actually running a bit dry on checks, if I remember correctly, so...
Yeah, we are. We're running quite low, so something's got to show up that could help us.
I feel like there almost has to be something on Zora now.
Yeah, I can't even think of any other places that we haven't gone to yet. Catfish, okay, that's another good one. And Back of...
Catfish, yeah.
Back of Thieves. Oh, Chad also bringing up the point that the red crystals are in logic now as well.
Right,
so
right.
Could be Pyramid Fairy. Yeah, just the heart piece from him. So this is kind of looking like Pyramid Fairy could come up. Either that or Back of Thieves Town, because those are like the most dense locations we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, at this point, you know, kind of focusing on that Pyramid Fairy, it would be the way to go. You know, it is unfortunate for EmoSaru that, you know, that green pendant is kind of what she needs to get at this point to actually make that happen, because not getting that second red crystal without that fire rod.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of rough for her, because she's going to come over here, may even dip the front of Skull Woods, and not really get anything for it. The one thing that could be a saving grace is if she were to go into the Back of Thieves Town and get something nice from there that P-Train might put off for a while.
Yeah, probably the sooner EmoSaru does find the mitts, probably the better for her, because that will give her, you know, a reason to go back up the Death Mountain, because, you know, you got Hookshot Cave, you got Super Bunny, so that would put her at least back on the mountain at the very least.
Yeah, it'd be a bit of a double-edged sword, because if you get the mitts, you'd have to, I think, get the mitts in the mirror to even have a chance to go over to Tower of Hera, just because you want to check Dark Death Mountain. And unless you take the long walk from the bottom all the way over to the east side to the top of Hera, then back to the Turtle Rock portal, it's such a long check. You'd even probably do Fire Rodless Turtle Rock before I think she would need to get the mirror, and even then, it's going to be hard to get over to Tower of Hera because there's just so many other good options if you get another progression item.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, P-Train starting his fight against the EmoSaru King. We'll be able to finish the second phase a little faster than EmoSaru with that tempered sword.
Yep, down goes Helma on P-Train's side. He will now be able to do his red crystals if he decides to do that.
Yeah, and even if that doesn't pay off, like you said, that also will give him kind of a means for staying over in that way and checking the catfish as well, so going to be able to check those off, and then from there, yeah, if we still don't get anything from that route, it would be the back of Thieves Town at that point.
Yeah, but this race, I don't think P-Train is in a good position for sure. I don't think it's over though, because there could still be something like mirror on catfish leading P-Train to do swamp, whereas EmoSaru could get hard funneled into doing Tower of Hera and then not do swamp later to catch up, for instance. But it's definitely P-Train is in a good spot right now.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and that actually just reminded me, and I believe Seiryu, our tracker, actually pointed this out in the chat, but P-Train actually did the turtle room in the dark and before getting his lamp, so he'll probably be a little annoyed that he could have probably had that lamp and not worried about that dark room, but it seemed like he did it all right.
Yeah, you always, because like, it's really nice to go and do EmoSaru early if you get the big key in the right spot.
Yeah.
Because then you just don't have to play as much games with the switches, and you might be able to skip an item. But then when the lamp's in the back of pot and you did it in the dark, you just kind of feel bad.
Yeah. Oh, he did have fire rod, though. That does actually make the turtle room a bit easier, since you at least have a light you can use there.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with the potions they have and as many hearts as he has, it's much easier than when EmoSaru was looking at 6 heart and no fire source.
Right.
Turtle room.
Okay, well, EmoSaru is popping into, well, after she gets the checks around here first, obviously, but is in the Thieves Town area. We'll see if, once again, she decides to get the chests in the front and leave, or make the play all the way to the back. You know, if you get here early and, like, for instance, the flippers, for example, like, she's already made all the kind of the relatively close flipper checks, so she could actually be tempted to actually going through more of the dungeon here, so we may be able to see the items in the back now.
That's a great point, because when P-Train came over here, it was a lot earlier. He hadn't done his flipper checks, he hadn't done Palace of Darkness, hadn't done Desert Palace. So you're thinking, okay, I only need a few more items, there's only a couple back here, let's go do these other items first. Whereas EmoSaru, she's getting down to her last few locations. I think that she's definitely going to be a lot more tempted to go in the back, even finding the flippers, because she already did those flipper checks. But I think EmoSaru probably needs to. It's kind of a double-edged sword with the mirror, though, because Swamp Palace has more items than Tower of Hera. And you already are thinking, okay, I skipped Tower of Hera. If my opponent didn't, they're going to be so far ahead, so we might not want to make that play. So it almost might even be better to just get hard last location to Tower of Hera, and then just hope that you make another play that gets you back in it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So chat asking where was Fire Rod? It was on our green pendant turn-in after beating Tower of Hera, which P-Train elected to do first time up the mountain. EmoSaru elected to skip it.
Oh, she is taking the death, so she's not going to the back. That is actually, I think that is actually not bad, because that will kind of, I think, push her more to Hera now. Yeah,
still got Stumpy in the digging game, but she's running really low on locations. And the fact that Green Pendant and Ether Tablet are both up there, and the fact that the last item of Tower of Hera is on Moldorm, if she just makes that decision, she can get right back into it. It's just a hard decision to make because it's such a long walk over to Tower of Hera.
Yeah, that's the one thing I do not envy about our runners. Like, I mean, definitely props to them for qualifying into this tournament with just a lot of very competitive racers. Like, seriously, the qualifiers were really, really stacked. But, you know, making these decisions is the stuff that really, really, like, stresses me out whenever I'm doing, like, one of these tournament races. It's just, it's hard to make those calls sometimes, and it's just, you know, sometimes hard knowing that, like, just, you know, just one move in the way that just doesn't happen to be where I need to go. That could be just my opponent making that call and just getting the race when I honestly seemed like I was in a decent position otherwise.
Yeah, like it's hard to fault EmoSaru for not checking Tower of Hera. It just ended up that really is put her behind. And it's even harder to make these decisions when you have to worry about actually playing Link to the Past while doing it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But we are going back to the mountain, so this does look like this is going to be the Tower of Hera play. She's getting the hook shot out, so she will be on the right path here. Meanwhile, for P-Train, just picks up his fourth crystal. All he needs now is the mitts. The mitts is the only thing he's looking for. So at this point, he needs to make that call. Like, do I check the Pyramid Ferry? Do I check the back of Thieves Town?
Yeah, I think that for P-Train, his next play is doing Pyramid and Catfish. It's got 4 items. It's his most dense location left. Then after that, he'd probably take Thieves Town. I think what EmoSaru, if you're rooting for EmoSaru, what you would need for her to be able to come back would be mirror locking the mitts, and then just making a better decision with the mirror, knowing that she'll probably feel a bit behind seeing the fire rod where it is.
Yeah, probably. Because, yeah, like you said before, she was, you know, up here. She had the opportunity to just go over here and clear this really quick, and the fire rod does actually block quite a bit in this particular seed. So, yeah, she will more than likely feel behind because, you know, Tower of Hera is a very quick clear. It doesn't take long to do, so it's something you can do really fast.
Chad also bringing up another great location that could swing this battle would be Spike Cave, because P-Train has not checked Spike Cave, and he's probably not going to want to come back up here until he has the mitts or gets forced to.
Oh, that's true. And, you know, I've seen a number of races in this particular tournament that have had an item in Spike Cave. It's kind of strange to see how many seeds have come down to, like, just that item in Spike Cave.
And EmoSaru will get to save a little bit of time doing this Hera pot because we know both of the items are, there's no item in the basement. And P-Train is making the call, going to go over, get his big bomb from the bomb vendor, go up, get to check Pyramid Ledge, and probably Catfish as well, unless he gets the mitts in one of those checks, in which case he's just going to go through this seed and hope it's not the 1 in 22 boots on the torch, or torch, key on the torch.
Yeah.
So yeah, this seed it was pretty nice early, and it even gives you mitts go mode, but it still makes you check just a lot of items, just where it happened to hide the mitts.
Yep.
Ooh, Moldorm almost getting the revenge on both the runners today. Luckily, EmoSaru was able to dodge that. Just 10 arrows over there on the ledge. We'll see if the pyramid interior is any better for P-Train. Nope, just money today. And we'll get this. Looks like we're going to get to see Spike Cave over on EmoSaru's side.
Yep, we're going to see Spike Cave on Emo's side. We're going to be seeing the Catfish Trip on P-Train's side. So both of these kind of one-off locations will be checked here. And if not either of these, it's going to be in the back of Thieves Town, whatever it is we're looking for.
Yeah, it's about a 50-50 shot here if it's going to be if there's going to be progression on one of these two checks or if it's going to be in the back of Thieves. So this could be huge for this race.
There's the mitts in Spike Cave.
Yeah, so that definitely puts EmoSaru back in it. We still have to still have to wonder when she's going to turn in that green pendant. It's a nice quick check, but you have the Titan's mitts now, so you can full clear 2 dungeons at least.
She is getting the flute out. She is going to the mire area.
Yeah, because this could be, if she were to be able to go in and get the fire rod first, she'd be able to go mode Misery Mire in whatever other dungeons she decides to do. So it's just really going to come down to when she decides to check that the green pendant.
Mm-hmm. And P-Train is going to the mountains, so this is going to be the Spike Cave check for him. And ooh, EmoSaru just finds the mirror inside inside the mire shed.
Yeah, it's really a big bait mirror. We know on P-Train's side, he's not going to get at all tempted by that mirror if he even collects it.
Yeah.
Looks like P-Train's going to go give us another check, the magic bat.
I actually did forget about that check. That has actually been available for a bit as well.
Yeah, they must have gotten powder pretty early. I can't remember when they did that.
I believe that was in Eastern. I think it was the big chest of Eastern.
Oh, yes. Now I remember, now that you mention it.
And oh, EmoSaru actually going to be not doing Mire yet. Actually going to be jumping into Ice Palace instead.
Yeah, I like this because with Icebreaker, even if you full clear Ice Palace, as long as there's no item in the Ice Tea chest, it's not too bad to do versus go moding. Whereas Misery Mire, if the big key's in the bridge chest or something, you lose a lot of time not go moding that.
Right.
So P-Train has not given us our flippers checks yet, so he's going to go over. They were empty, but he's going to check them. It's a dense location for him.
Mm-hmm.
But after this, I don't know what else. He's got Back of Thieves and Spike Caves, but even if he does Back of Thieves, I still think he's in a pretty good position, depending on when EmoSaru decides to turn in that fire rod.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, even if P-Train checks the back of like Thieves Town, he's not gonna get the mirror. The mirror would be like the worst thing for him to find, but since we know that's gonna be behind the mitts, he's not gonna worry about that. So, like, he could get like a fetch quest item, or he could even get the boots, which in that case, that'd just speed him up a lot more than anything. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when if Catfish would have had the mirror, then we'd have a really interesting race on our hands because he'd get so many item locations that it would just be a matter of who makes the quick decision that they need to make to get their last item. But as it stands, it's really just going to be, when does EmoSaru turn in that green pendant?
Yeah, pretty much.
Chad is mentioning that boots and Ice Palace would definitely help because that makes the turn-in of the green pendant a lot quicker because you can dash over and use super speed.
Yeah, at this point, it's just going to come down to, like whoever finds boots first, it's going to be an advantage in their favor, I think.
Unfortunately, with this loadout, you're going to have to check the Ice Tea chest because I don't think she even has the big key, and he's gotten 2 keys.
Okay, P-Train going back to the mountain again, but he is trying to see what he's trying to swap to here. It looks like he is going to Spy Cave now.
Yep, so P-Train will be getting his go mode in just a minute or 2.
Yeah, well, at least our, that barring that 1 out of 22 possibility, but, he is going to be starting to kind of at least start heading towards that final position. Might still check some stuff along the way, obviously, just in case. And again, boots are something you'd like to find anyway. But Yeah, looking pretty good at that point.
Yeah, and at this point, it's looking like the boots are either in Ganon's Tower or Dark Side of Death Mountain. So even if they did get in the 1 in 22 mode, odds are they'd be able to get the boots without even having to go back down. We still got a couple items in Ice Palace and the back of Thieves Town, but otherwise, and the Smith's checks and the few mirror checks. But they're scattered. It's scattered out the world, and then half the other items are up on the mountain.
Yeah, definitely.
And at 58 minutes and 4 seconds, P-Train is in go mode. Well, 1 out of 22. 21 out of 22 go mode.
Mm-hmm.
All right, EmoSaru dropping in, giving us our first look at Cold Stare today. Going to use Bombos Medallion to save some magic for some Fire Rod shots. Having the Tempered Sword makes this fight so much nicer.
Yeah, it really does. Does take a few hits, but doesn't matter. She is able to keep those Cold Stare Puffs in that corner and get them down for her 4th crystal.
Yeah, Punish does not have the Fire Rod, but so you just had to use Bombos. But with a very nice kill anyway, with Tempered Sword. All right, so we're seeing P-Train going into Misery Mire, and we'll see where EmoSaru decides to go next. And that looking like Misery.
Yep, looks like she is going to be joining P-Train shortly.
So this is either going to be bad or really bad for EmoSaru, depending on where the big key is. P-Train's sure rooting for the big key to be as nice as possible. You always love when you get to go do a go mode mire and get the big key right in this chest. Just keys so far, and first 2 checks of Mire. And while we're kind of in a bit of a just waiting to see what the runners do next, definitely give these runners a follow. They put on a good show. The last race was excellent. This race still been a lot of fun, and yeah, definitely give them a follow.
Yeah, definitely. Both very skilled runners of this community. As I mentioned before at the start of the race, both have sub 90 times in Link to the Past, No Major Glitches speed run. Have both dedicated a lot of time to this game, and it definitely shows in the way they're playing and executing. Definitely 2 very awesome runners.
Yeah, we saw P-Train collect the big key over there in that chest above that little mesh ceiling area. There's also only been 1 item so far seen in Misery Mire, so EmoSaru may have to go over to the cutscene chest or the big chest to get the last item. Looks like P-Train didn't set up Spooky for this room, unfortunately.
Nah.
It's not too bad to not set it up in terms of time loss, but it just feels so cool when you get to do that glitch.
Yeah, I still remember when I first saw videos of people performing that when it was first discovered, and it's just like, wow, it's incredible that even to this day, like, just more things are being found about this game. It just shows how, like, as much as we love this game, and honestly, I think the game's great, and I think it was well put together, but, like, it was back in the kind of the older days where, games aren't as well put together as they are today, so it's, again, kind of cool that, like, all these little tricks and exploits can continue to be found even to this day, like 20 plus years later.
It's amazing what they were able to make, like coding and assembly with no developer tools and very limited hard drive. Yeah, so us kids 30 years later with a hard drive with much faster computer power and developer tools they'd only dream of can find some problems with their game. And we see P-Train getting a Misery Myers crystal, so he's going to have to go over and do Ice Palace and Turtle Rock and then be able to climb up the mountain.
Okay, just to address this really quick, I may have forgotten about Cyberpunk, okay? Sorry about that.
P-Train going over to Ice Palace definitely makes sense. You want to do Turtle Rock last, so you only have to climb the mountain once. And get to do a nice, really fast Ice Palace with Icebreaker and the Fire Rod and the Tempered Sword. Go in and do it in Go mode. Get to do it really fast. Seeing NMG strats on Vitreous. P-Train also got to show us those. Ooh, unfortunate quick swap there. Swapping from the bow over to the mirror a bit too early. EmoSaru's got to walk back to Misery Mire. That just feels so bad when that happens.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. This is why I'm honestly not a big fan of quick swap, because I tend to make mistakes like that on my end all the time. Like, even just playing normal games that don't have, like, that kind of feature. So, yeah, it's definitely unfortunate that she'll have to make this trek back.
Also, we saw someone in chat ask, what's Icebreaker? Well, you'll get to see it over on P-Train's side. Essentially what it does is, when Link's going through the door in this game, he doesn't have the same collision mechanics he normally does. So P-Train used that Cane of Samaria, placed a block down, which made the game extend how long he was in that door state where he's not going to collide with things. And because he doesn't have collision, he gets to walk through that barrier right there and get over to that chest and skip about half of Ice Palace.
Mm-hmm. So we're not exactly breaking the ice, we're just kind of moving past it, but Icebreaker sounds cooler than that, so...
Yeah, it totally breaks the route that the developers intended you to go through this palace, where you have to go to the bottom and hit the switch and come back up through to push that block. And yeah, with the Icebreaker, not seeing as many bomb jumps, definitely still want to know how to do that, because there's still a lot of times where Cane of Samaria is locked behind Ice Palace. But yeah, we do see Icebreaker a lot more. Though, as a note, that trick is not legal for NMG speedruns. It's only legal for the randomizer community. It's one of those few things where it's okay in rando, but not NMG.
Okay, nice Vitreous kill there for EmoSaru. P-Train starting the Cold Stare fight. Ooh, does not get the spin, so we'll have to kind of deal with chasing these puffs around. Need to be very, very careful here.
Yeah, he's got to remember he's got the blue and the green, and a red even, so Rainbow Potion's definitely going to help. Whenever you miss that fight on the spin on Cold Stare, that fight goes from kind of hard to really hard.
Mm-hmm. Does manage to recover, though, despite that little bit of an issue there. as EmoSaru heads back up the mountain. Yeah, unfortunately, we're just kind of in that position where, you know, it is great that EmoSaru did get that green pendant, but, you know, kind of getting the mitts when she did before she got that turn in is kind of hurting her here. She's going to be checking basically the dark side of Death Mountain, and we'll have to essentially climb up the mountain again after basically being forced to stop up here.
Yeah, it just shows how much just the order in which you get the required items in this game can really affect how fast you finish this game. Because P-Train, his last item he needed was the Titan's Mitts. So he knows he doesn't have to check any of these locations that are locked by the Titan's Mitts to find his item. Meanwhile, EmoSaru was looking for the Fire Rod. The Fire Rod only locks relatively few locations. It locks some items and some number of Turtle Rock items, depending on the key layout. It can lock Ice Palace without Bombos, but not in this case. And it locks the back of Skull Woods. So there's just not that many items locked by it.
Yeah, pretty much. And I don't think it's a case of EmoSaru forgetting that she has the green pendant or anything. It's just, again, like Dane just said, like the mitts just gave her so many more locations to check. If she didn't find the mitts there, like I'm sure green pendant would have probably been the next thing she would have checked. But, you know, once she did get the mitts, it's like, okay, well, basically most of the remaining crystal dungeons I had just opened up. There's a lot of overworld stuff I can check now, so it just seemed more valuable to follow the mitts instead of just going back for just like one check elsewhere.
Yeah, when you do not have the boots, even with the flute, that turning in that green pendant is not a very quick check. So definitely P-Train got a lot of mileage out of doing Tower of Hera and getting there early, like when he was going to go over the pod.
Very quickly, I would like to say hello to the 108 people who are joining us from SpeedGaming 5. Currently watching a race between P-Train and EmoSaru. This is Group AC of the winner bracket side of things. EmoSaru has a 1-0 series lead on P-Train. P-Train trying to force a Game 3 to see which of these two runners will end up in the brackets for the first member of Group AC.
Yeah, and as a bit of the two kind of highlights of this seed. So P-Train elected to turn in the green pendant early. The green pendant was our Fire Rod, which EmoSaru was still looking for. And then the mitts were in Spike Cave. So even with getting the Fire Rod early, P-Train still had to wait a little bit to find his mitts in kind of an orphaned Spike Cave location. Meanwhile, when EmoSaru got her mitts, she had so many other locations that she just never has gotten over to turn in the Fire Rod, get the Fire Rod yet.
Yeah. And, you know, it is unfortunate because, like right there, we find another just location we can check on the ground. But, you know, she can't go any further in Turtle Rock, so, you know, she can stop there. But, you know, she still has the back of Thieves Town and all of Swamp Palace to check for basically the Fire Rod. And, like, all those locations have just, you know, more possibilities to have that Fire Rod than Sahasrahla. For Swamp, it's 6 items versus 1. For Thieves, it's 2 versus 1.
Yeah, it's just so many. When the mirror and the mitts are just taking her all over the map.
Yeah.
P-Train having some nice dodges of the chain chomps, giving him a little bit of bad movement, but able to maneuver around it, finish that room without getting hit.
Okay, well, it does look like she is going to be turning independent now, so she doesn't get lured into Thieves or Swamp, so she will be on the right track. Unfortunately, though, it does have 2 crystals left to obtain while P-Train is working on his last one. Skull Woods will be a relatively quick clear for EmoSaru, but P-Train does have a pretty sizable lead at this point.
Yeah, you're definitely going to feel bad if you're EmoSaru here and you get the Fire Rod even after that Misery Mire. It's just not a good feeling when that happens to you.
Yeah.
But at least now EmoSaru is in go mode with the asterisk for the 21 out of 22.
Right. Yeah, and that, like, if you are rooting for EmoSaru and, you know, want this to turn around, that's like the one thing that could still come into play. you know, no boots, and boots are required for GT, but the boots are not in GT. That could still come. It's not highly likely. Just again, they're very low odds to be there to begin with, even if it is there. GT will have a lot of items to check as it is, so not likely. Could still happen, but right now P-Train is looking pretty good regardless.
Yeah, the only thing I could imagine that would get EmoSaru right back into it is you're feeling really behind. You just finished Skull Woods. You go over and check the pedestal, find the boots on the pedestal, and then the GT bid key is also on the torch. Because otherwise, P-Train is just so far ahead right now.
Yeah.
But there's still hope.
Yeah. Probably not super worth to go in like all those hypotheticals right now. I mean, we'll know the true state of things in probably about 3 minutes or so when P-Train actually does make the trek over to Ganon's Tower, and we actually see where that big key is going to end up being, whether it's on the torch or not. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, and as we see P-Train getting ready to go into his last boss, definitely everybody get ready for your favorite game with the Big Key Guessing Game. We'll be starting up really shortly once P-Train has collected his crystal from Trinex, and it won't be open very long because we don't have. He's just got to walk over to Ganon right out of here. Electing not to try a second time for that chest either, because he's really only looking for boots at this point. Can't really get much else for help. Meanwhile, EmoSaru going into a Moth fight. Moth being a bit obnoxious, staying up towards the top of the screen.
Yeah, I guess he figured, well, you didn't have an issue with Moldorm, so I'm not going to cooperate with you like I did for P-Train.
Yeah, only one insect will be nice to you this season.
Yeah, that's the rules, I guess.
All right, and P-Train getting into his Trinex fight. It's really nice to have the Tempered Sword here. You can dispatch the heads really quickly. And P-Train gets the quick kill on the main head, so very nice fight there. And now with that crystal, guys, you get the bot started up, and then you can get your guesses in. So Slim Kirby, what is your usual guess for this big key location?
I always hope for a number 8. Just I don't know why. There's just something about number 8 that just speaks to me every single time.
Nice. My personal, I go to 14. Can be in the random room a decent amount of times, otherwise maybe a little bit later, but that's the one I go with. And if you're in chat, you want to be a little bit mean, then I guess 3 or 1 would be your choice, because that's about the only way that P-Train would have to go out of here.
Yeah. So we'll see if P-Train decides just immediately to get that information or not. Nope, he is going to be going for the right side first.
Desert Palace was completely non-boots locked. For chat who was asking.
Okay, well, we do get a small key on the right side, but I imagine P-Train is wanting to get this information now. And we'll find out if the boots are going to be required for this. They are not, so the big key is accessible, and P-Train is officially in go mode, pretty much in a whole dungeon ahead of EmoSaru at this point.
Yeah, and if P-Train not having the mirror, it makes a lot of sense to go over to the left first anyway, because if you don't, then its full right starts becoming a more appealing option. Generally, runners don't like to do full right.
Right.
So we're on to, that is number 5, small key. 6 is a red rupee. And 7 is bombs. All right, so that's
There's-
number 8. You were right today.
Oh, wow. I knew there was a reason. I always guessed that.
Yeah, so that's the right answer.
Someone was before me, though, so congrats, Kalan's 02.
Yeah, Kalanzi are going to get a nice supply of internet points for that, guys.
Oh, yeah, because P-Train doesn't have the mirror, does have to walk back.
Yeah, at that location with as many hearts as you have, you're kind of like a toss-up. Do I want a death warp or a walk back? But walking back seems like the quicker option.
Yeah, and he was pretty good on health, so, didn't really want to take a death warp and lose some of those hearts, so makes sense. It wasn't too long of a walk anyway.
Yeah. So now we're just going to see P-Train get to show off some nice execution, get to go up the mountain, go up Ganon's Tower as quickly as possible.
And that's right, and, this is pretty much the equipment that our runners would have in a No Majors Glitches run. Maybe a few more hearts, but still, you'll be seeing pretty cool NMG strats for going up here, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're basically trading 3 bottles and powder for your boots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. Boots would actually be pretty significant here too, but
yeah, it really makes some of those gauntlet rooms just a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Very nice first room there by P-Train. He's just powering through the gauntlet, even without the boots. This is a really nice gauntlet so far.
Yeah, it does seem like the enemies are cooperating pretty nicely in a lot of these rooms. They're not making any sudden movements, like especially in that one conveyor room. They didn't walk around the entire track like I see them do sometimes, so has been fairly kind to P-Train in that regard.
Getting an unfortunate short hop from the second land molas, unfortunately, giving him a little bit of trouble. But able to collect himself and get the kill pretty quickly.
Yeah, and honestly, EmoSaru is just about to enter the Trinex fight now, so she did make some pretty quick ground in Turtle Rock. All things considering, so she's making some good time. Don't think it'll be enough at this point, but still just, very strong finish looking like so far.
All right, EmoSaru taking care of Trinex, gonna get her last crystal, and P-Train is almost to the top of Ganon's Tower. P-Train playing it nice and safe, not risking the Ganon's Tower sprite despawn glitch, because you never want to see that happen.
Yeah, that is not the time you'd want to see that, that's for sure.
Let's see if P-Train can avenge himself from a little bit of annoyance from the earlier Moldorm, take it out on this Moldorm here. Yep, able to get rid of him really quickly.
Yep, that's what we like to see. Hit him once, get that spin set up, and hit him the second time. Really nice.
Just 10 arrows there in that last check. Wasn't much that could help him that much anyway. And this room without the boots is a real pain. So good to see P-Train handle it nicely. All right, P-Train's going into his Aghanim 2 fight. Let's see how well he does on his geometry test today.
That looked pretty good.
Yeah, that was either a double or triple, depending on the timing of that one. That last pattern was a difficult one, so. So we're either at 3 or 4 hits. We'll see. Okay, so the first one was only a double. And down goes Aghanim.
Yeah, that really was an unfortunate second phase there.
All right, so we'll see P-Train dropping into his Ganon fight, and on the other screen, EmoSaru is going to be getting her big key around the same time that he goes into the Ganon fight.
One thing nice about Emo is she won't need to make that walk that P-Train did. Has the mirror to actually save a little bit of time there as P-Train does enter the Ganon fight.
All right, P-Train gets the double spin off the Trident. Let's see if he completes the one cycle, and he does. So just going to go for the second one cycle right here, and he's doing a great job at it so far.
Yep, using the hook shot to basically turn himself invincible during those frames where the bats are coming through. Makes it to phase 3, just needs 4 strikes here to get it into the final phase of the fight.
Yeah, that was about as good of a first 2 phases as you're going to see. So we're entering in the 4th phase. We're going to have to see 12 spins here from P-Train to take down the pig. And gets the nice free first hit. And also gets the torch glitched, so just 11 more hits for him. Misses that triple, unfortunately, but still doing otherwise great job so far on Ganon. Needs 4 more hits. All right, just the 1 more hit, and down goes Ganon.
There we go.
All P-Train needs to do is cross this bridge, and he will be our winner today. All right, get your GGs in chat for P-Train, finishing with an official racetime.gg of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 26 seconds. So nice run there by P-Train.
With this win, he will force a Game 3 of this series. And like we said before, the winner of this series will make it in the bracket. So they are both 1-1 now. I believe the only loss that either of them taken in this group so far, too. So they're very, very tightly matched, as we do actually have P-Train joining us here in the room. GG P-Train on your victory for this race.
GG's, appreciate it.
So, P-Train, how were you feeling when you got that fire rod from the green pendant early?
Really good, honestly. Like, at that point, I felt like I don't know, maybe Emo stays and does that, but I don't know. I feel like Hera's kind of a hard sell. Because I could choose to either do Spiral Cave or go all the way to Bombo's Tablet and then maybe do Hera. There may or may not, you might even be locked out of the basement, right? Because you don't have a fire source at that point. So it felt like a really bad choice when I was doing it. And then I got middle old. The moment I got Fire Rod, though, I was like, all right, this is going to be okay.
Yeah, definitely helped you out on your routing. Do you have any other first thoughts on this scene?
Mitts were kind of annoying. Cape and Spiral Cave, which gives you the access to Spike Cave, but who leaves Spiral Cave for Spike Cave? And then I had just enough to basically keep me from ever going back. You know, anytime you leave Spike Cave, and you don't have Mitts is always your return condition to Spike Cave, right? I'll just get it with Dark Death Mountain. So when mitts were there, that was kind of annoying. Luckily, I did it before doing Pendant Thieves, but only barely.
Yeah, for sure. That was an annoying location for the mitts. Normally, when you have mitts go mode, it's really nice. You get to skip. You don't have to check all those locations like Turtle Rock for your last item. But today it was still a little rough.
Yeah, go mode mitts was nice. I also never found the mirror. So despite not having boots, like there were just a lot of checks that were inaccessible to me, which I appreciated.
Yeah, we were saying on here like when you were looking for your mitts and EmoSaru was looking for her fire rod, that one of the ways that you could kind of get baited away is if you got an early mirror, but luckily you were able to avoid that.
Yeah, in my mind, I kind of had a wrong train of thought. I figured if you didn't dive Hera, maybe you did Spike Cave instead, but I forgot that the gate was in Spiral Cave. So I don't know. Like I figured you either last location the fire rod or you last location the mitts. And if I had to take my pick, I would rather last location the mitts, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was pretty much the story of what happened in this seed. EmoSaru did actually go to the mountain pretty early. Got a lot of those items after checking Paradox and all that. Did check Spiral Cave immediately after and did not go back up for Hera, which is, more than understandable at that point. Still had a lot of stuff available, especially with that early bow and Eastern and everything. But yeah, came back, did Hera so much later, got the green pendant, went down, checked Spike Cave right after, got the mitts, and that kind of just dragged her away from green pendant Sahasrahla to turn in. So yeah, that's kind of what happened there.
Yeah, I wanted to be a bit smarter with the green pendant turn in, but also I wanted to know if the pendant dive would pay off. I'm not a huge fan of just going only to turn in the green pendant. I thought about maybe slow playing it, see if I could do it, like maybe find a mirror and do a bide. But also, if Hera was going to be a total bust, including the green pendant, I wanted that information because that definitely would have affected some of my routing decisions. Probably for the worst, but yeah.
Okay, we are looking at EmoSaru on the Ganon fight now.
Yeah, she's about entering her phase 3. We'll get on to the spin to win phase of this fight very shortly. Getting the torch glitch, so now it's just some spins and then Ganon will be dead. Alright, should just need, I think, a couple more cycles. He's got 8 hits now. Alright, down goes Ganon for the second time. So EmoSaru is going to cross this bridge and lock in her time. Definitely get your GGs for EmoSaru as well. Very nice race by her as well. Very entertaining. Alright, EmoSaru finishing with an official race time GG time of 1:31:43.
Yeah, overall about a 6 minutes difference here. Basically just kind of a dungeon behind, really, and again, it just came down to like when she would get that fire rod. As we are joined by EmoSaru, GG on the finish. Unfortunate about that fire rod, unfortunately. But how are you feeling after that seed?
Oh, I'm feeling fine. Also, GG's Katrina.
GG's Emo.
Yeah, I was thinking about it like after the race, like what happened. Like had I gotten that fire rod when I should have. I think the way that I routed this would have finished a long time ago. But what ended up happening was I was watching Apathy Duck's race before this, and my brain, there were a few things that I did like early game where like my brain was just still thinking about that seed. Like I had all that crap. And so literally the reason I saved and quit off the right side of the mountain to go start from the left side of the mountain was like, oh, I have mirrors, it'll be faster for me to go up this way. But I did not have the mirror. And it was just like lingering in my brain. And so that was the thing. And once I had put that off, and I had to put that off for a while, and then I had the mitts and all sorts of stuff. And so then, fleeting over to turn in the green pennant was just one extra little thing that was on the same level of play, like the same level of choice as going and cleaning up the magic bat that we had super early that I never went to. And so it was just kind of like, I don't know, when am I gonna go do that? I should have done it. I kept coming to mind like, oh well, I'll do it before I do this, but then it's just kind of whatever. And so yeah, it's just one of those things. But I have actually, like, in the grand scheme of things, again, ignoring the reason for what happened with Tower Hero, the first ship of the mountain, given what happened, I actually have relatively little, like, few to no regrets about any of the decisions I made based on the current situation. So it's like, what are you gonna do? Stuff happens.
Yeah, for me, mitts came super late, but the only thing I had left was Pendant Thieves, and I felt like my checks up until that point were relatively sensible. I dove the front of Thieves, routed to Hype Cave, ended up going to the pod area. After pod, oh yeah, I wanted to see if Desert was boots locked, so I did that. Then cleaned up the Pyramid Ferry to Catfish, and then did my Flipper Overworld checks. And at that point, all I had left was Spike Cave or Pendant Thieves. And I figured Spike Cave, even though it's one of my least favorite checks in the game, it just probably made more sense to suck it up and do Spike Cave rather than do Pendant Thieves.
For sure. And with me having mitts, like, I full cleared ice. I didn't do cutscene chest and mire, but I did that. Also, I mirrored out of the Vitreous fight on like arrow 7 or 6 because quick swap is terrible and should not be the standard, but I digress. But because I had mitts, right, it was like, oh, well, I'll run up the mountain, do Hookshot Cave and that stuff, and check the first chest in TR and all of that, just hunting for that fire rod. So, yeah, it was brutal, but it happens.
No, Hera felt like a really bad call at the time, because I either jump down and do Spiral Cave, or I'll walk over for Hera, and you got to walk all the way to the Ether Tablet, then you do Hera, hoping that you're not even fire locked. You find the big key, and it's like, well, what do I do with this? Opted to clear it. I got middle hold by Moldorm, so that sucked. And then afterwards, for me, even though I had Dark World access, because I had invested so much time in the Green Pendant play, I really wanted to know if that was worth anything. So first thing I did after cleaning up Spiral Cave was go turn in that Green Pendant, and I found the fire rod. I was like, okay, I feel good about this.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about it, but like my problem was I had already cleared pod and Eastern. Like there was just like nothing great bringing me over there. Like if I had gotten I think what I did was I went and did pod as soon as I had Dark World access after Hype Cave, and then saved and quit and fluted to Eastern, did that, and then went to Sahasrara. And that was like super duper early. So if I'd had the fire rod, or if I'd had the green pendant when I did that, that would have worked out amazingly. Because by the time I had exited pod, I had already like done a whole bunch of stuff, and I was in like reasonably well equipped to do that. And so it was, I mean, pod was a little bit sketchy to do, although I found the lamp in there, which was a ton of fun. But yeah, I don't know. It's that Hera thing was just weird because like I fully intended to do Hera early, and I was like, oh well, I can do Spiral Cave because I'll just save and quit out of it and go back up the mountain the other way. But that didn't work out.
Yeah, and pretty much like you said earlier, like even if you didn't do Hero the first time you were up the mountain, you still found all the other value that was on the east side of the mountain, and then like right after that, you went straight to Pod, found all the value in there, and at that point, you were really just looking for Fire Rod and Mitts, and you went to Hera, which was the correct play. It's just unfortunately just the Mitts being in Spiral Cave that just opened up so much more, and
Yeah.
that's just the way it is. Like the routing honestly worked really well for you until that point, even if that was kind of intentional, like missing out on Hera. It still kind of worked in its own way.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't regret anything after that. Like, I feel like, as a general rule, I feel fine with all the decisions I made. And so when it comes to these races, like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the only way you can feel bad is if you did things you like regret doing or think were just bad ideas, and you feel like just played wrong, or something.
Right.
And I don't feel like that this race. So it's kind of like I can't really complain, like
Yeah.
it sucks to lose, it sucks why, but like I can't really feel bad about it. So
Yeah. Very, very nicely and well said for sure.
anyway, GG again, P-Train, on a very well-deserved victory, and I look forward to figuring out when we're gonna do the game 3 for all the marbles, as it were.
All right, yeah,
GG's.
definitely.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Sorry about that. All right, so yeah, definitely thanks for coming in for the interview, guys. Put on a good show today, and we'll definitely be looking forward to seeing that race 3 to see who will advance to the bracket out of this group and who will have to fight on to see if they can make it. So definitely give these runners a follow. They did a great job. Had a great run for us today. Also, give my co-commentator Slim Kirby a follow. He did a great job keeping the commentary engaged and the game interesting. Also, Sayer UX, I don't believe they stream, but you can give them a follow anyway. They did a great job tracking.
Yep, and same to you as well, Dane. Had a pleasurable time commentating this with you. Yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that game 3. Winner moves on the brackets. The second place person for that match will have to do another match, which I believe that other series hasn't been decided yet. It's between GFE and Prior 57. Currently, Prior is 1 up on that series. Don't know if they've played their game 2 yet. But yeah, should be a very, very interesting rest of this group. This group has seen very, very, very tough. A lot of really strong competitors in this group as well. So the rest of this group should be fun to watch as they finish this up here. As far as other races going on, I'm just going to very quickly pull up the schedule. I believe we actually do have another
we've
race.
got 3 more races in the next few hours.
Dang, that's awesome.
Yeah, late night rando today.
We sure do, and I believe actually the next one actually will be on this very channel. So at 11:40. So man, that's actually like less than 20 minutes from now.
Yep. So just stay tuned here for a little while longer, and you'll get JP versus Locke on this channel.
Yeah, and then after that, these other 2 races will be on the main Speed Gaming channel at 12:10 a.m. We got Sailor Net versus Purdy Wong, and at 2:10 a.m., so 2 hours after that, we have Ravis versus Demo. So another set of exciting matches there as well. So stick with us for the rest of the evening. We've got lots of more rando coming up, not just tonight, but also for the rest of these next couple of weeks. Hope you guys enjoy. My name is Slim Kirby, going to be signing out, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks again for tuning in.